Hi everyone, today we are continuing our journey through my PlayStation 2 collection. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe before we do anything. Maybe leave a comment after the video if you like this and if you had any of the games that we are talking about today. And today we are starting with a racing game. It's called Motocross Mania. As you can see, there are boobs in the game. It's published by 2K. And as you can see, it's basically a road rage clone. So you can do like tricks and whatnot, but you can also hit your opponents. There is a big old tank in there. Dibus Studios UK. I have no idea what that studio is, but they made Motocross Mania. I picked this game up quite a while ago at a flea market, along with a bunch of other games, so I haven't had time to try this, but you know, it was cheap. It looks interesting. A 2005 release, so yeah, it's just at the top of the time on the PlayStation 2. And as you can see, you can do tricks and fight, hand-to-hand combat. Looks interesting, that's why I picked it up. Next up is something that I really wanted to pick up, and this is Motorstorm Arctic Edge. I'm not sure if it's the original case, although I think it came in an orange case. So Motorstorm is interesting. So the series actually started on the PlayStation 3, and then for some reason they decided to release this game on the PlayStation 2. Probably because there was a PSP game. Motorstorm Arctic Edge, of course, had a PSP port, and instead of porting that to the PlayStation 3, they decided why not release it on the PlayStation 2. And as you can see, 2009. So this is one of the... maybe it is the last Sony published game, although maybe there are some... I think Ra 1 is probably one of the last Sony published games on the console, but it is just insane that, you know, Motorstorm is on the PlayStation 2. I did play this game, it's really fun, and I think despite the limitations of the PSP and the PlayStation 2, this game is really high quality. It wasn't made by Evolution Studios, it was made by big studios, but it's still really fun, and it just really stands on its own in the series. And I think if you like the other Motorstorm games, you might have to take a step back and try this one, because this one is awesome. I really like it. And let's go with another vehicle-based game. This is Need for Speed Pro Street. I don't have a lot of nostalgia like other people for Need for Speed. I don't really care, to be honest, about Need for Speed. But I think Pro Street is a weird one, because it's after the sort of, I would say, you know, golden age of the Need for Speed series, with like Underground and Underground 2. But it's kind of between the other really successful ones. This one's pretty cool. Picked it up for cheap, of course, because it looked interesting. And you know, it's just street racing with high quality visuals and good cars. And there is a whole sort of argument how these games became really popular with the rise of the tuning culture for cars, and like with movies like The Fast and the Furious. So yeah, Need for Speed Pro Street, it's pretty cool. There is something that I'm really happy to have, and this is Okami on the PlayStation 2. A friend of mine actually brought this from England for me. I think he was in London or something, and he was like, "Oh, you know, is there anything that you are interested in?" And then he picked this one up, and also Atari Anthology. So that was great. Okami, just a crazy, really ambitious and fantastic game. Just like with this style and the drawing stuff, it's just great. And as you can see, this is a really nice clean copy, and this was actually from back in the day, $29.99. Although I think, yeah, my friend picked it up for way cheaper, and it wasn't in 2007, so that's pretty cool. I like this game. I haven't beaten it. I played it on the PlayStation 3 because it has like a full HD 60 FPS version, because it kind of struggles on the PS2, just like it's really ambitious, and you know, like Clover Studios made some really cool games back in the day. And we talked about Okami, that's a Capcom title, and there is also a really interesting Capcom game series on the PlayStation 3, and that's Onimusha. It's like an action-adventure type of deal, and just like Okami having a sequel, Onimusha is getting a new title in the near future. It looks really fun. I haven't played them, but I also have the second one, Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny. This one looks a bit more interesting, like the graphics are kind of nuts. Weirdly enough, both of it has like Italian on the cover, but the game is in English, of course. Capcom was pretty good in this generation, I feel. And then the third one is Onimusha 3. There is one more, Onimusha Tactics. I don't have that one, but I'm not really into tactics game that much. But yeah, Onimusha 3 is the one that's like, oh, that we're gonna be really ambitious, and we're gonna get French actor Jean Reno, and it's in like France, and there is like a motorcycle chases and whatnot. It's famous actors in there, so they went big budget with the third one, and then it didn't really work out. And then the third one became sort of like the end of the series for now, or for that point. I think the third game is, yeah, it's 2004, so they pushed these games out pretty quickly, one after another. But then, you know, it's like radio silence for 20 years, and then now there is a really good demo for the new. I guess it would be like the fourth mainline game, but I think it might be the reboot. Plus, they are re-releasing the first game all the time, or not all the time, but they got like a new re-release about that. Okay, next one. Yeah, it's Outlaw Volleyball Remix. This is another weird one, because actually I think the game itself is solid. So it's a volleyball game, but then you have these weird wacky characters, and then you have crazy commentary. I think the commentary might have Steve Carell in there. I'm not exactly sure. You can see that they had a bunch of games like outdoor. There was Outlaw Golf and also Outlaw Tennis, I want to say. Yeah, tennis was there. So yeah, Outlaw Golf was the other one. And then they have all of these people working. Yeah, oh no, it's Stephen Colbert. Yeah, announcer commentary, Stephen Colbert. So yeah, Stephen Colbert was in this game. Crazy. It's like sexy characters and like criminal characters. It's a weird one. It's not really something that, you know, you are proud to have. Next up is an interesting one. It's Pac-Man World 3. So Pac-Man had quite a lot of success in this generation. Pac-Man World 2 and 3, I think they were the platformers for Pac-Man, and later it's like Ghostly Adventures and whatnot. But Pac-Man World 3 was a pretty ambitious project for the series, and there is like a museum portion of the game, I think, where you can play the classic games as well. So, you know, Pac-Man's pretty cool, and back in the day they were pushing for this series. That sort of died out. There were like the occasional 3D platformers, and nowadays we are getting the remakes of the Pac-Man World series, which is really, really cool. Next one is another game from our friends at Midas Interactive Entertainment. This is Pacific Warriors 2 Dogfight. This looks like a really low budget, like flying simulator game, and if you check out the graphics, yeah, you can play as with a lot of different World War II planes, and as you can see there are 50 historically realistic missions and whatnot. That's cool, and I loved picking this up because this is also a really late release, 2009. It says like 2004, but I think the release itself was in 2009, and you know, like nobody played this one. And as you can see, it's interesting because this is a CD based game, but it's not purple on the back, so I don't know what's that all about. Yeah, Midas pushing these really low budget games. I think this might be fun because, you know, it's like pretty hard to mess up a flying game, but who knows, maybe they did. Paris-Dakar Rally is the next one. So yeah, I have a bunch of rally games in my collection and racing games. Paris-Dakar Rally is no different. This one's kind of cool. There are sort of these open-ended stages where you can choose your own path, and there are a bunch of different cars and bikes and buggies and quads you can race with. Each stage has like different routes, and it has this sort of freedom stuff in there, which is pretty cool. The game itself is kind of average. At this area, a lot of companies were making racing games, and it's hard to compete with the Colin McRae series, and they don't really come close, but it's still fun. Still fun to try out these racing games. Next one is one of the only steelbook games that I know of, and it should have an outer sleeve. This is Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie. It's in pretty bad shape. It was made by Ubisoft. So yeah, it's based on the Peter Jackson, I think it's 2005 or maybe 2006 live action movie. That's the movie Peter Jackson made after Lord of the Rings. Was it good? People did like it. Was it successful? Well, not really. But they put a pretty high budget licensed game forward, which meant that, there is going to be a game based on that. And this is actually a double disc one. There is the making of the game bonus DVD, which is, pretty fun. Not a lot of games release stuff like this nowadays. And then there is the nice colorful manual. It's an action adventure platformer type of game based on the movie. It follows the movie, as far as I know, pretty closely. But yeah, it's not good. It's, I would say, a decent title in terms of like how usually movie-based games turn out. Next one is a game that I don't know anything about. This is Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat. Okay, this is a pirate game, I guess. Oh, published by EA. So there is sword fighting, there is big skeletons and whatnot. There is probably ship battles as well. There are not that many pirate-based games. Oh, look at this nice disc. And, this one may be pretty fun. Next up is one of the weirdest Sony releases, I think. It's a Sony-published game. It's called Primal. And this is another one of those action-adventure, sort of hacky, slashy, fighty, whatever. There are monsters and other monsters and some craziness in there. It was made by Cambridge Studio, so that's pretty cool. And this one is sealed. Yeah, I don't have a lot of sealed games in my collection because I don't really like keeping them. And probably if I want to play this game, I just open it anyway because it's a really low value title. But it's still pretty cool to find sometimes, sealed PlayStation 2 games out in the wild. And that's it. This is the newest episode. This time I think we had some pretty decent titles. Motorstorm Arctic Edge is really fun, Okami is really fun, and we cannot forget about the Onimusha series, although Capcom did forget about it, and I guess gamers also. But if I had to recommend it, I would say out of these, play Okami and then play Motorstorm Arctic Edge, because they are really fun games. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you will subscribe and like the video, and maybe leave a comment if you liked any of these games, and do you have any recommendations I should play on the PlayStation 2. We are getting through to the end of this series. We are already at letter P, but there is a lot more games to check out. There's gonna be a couple more episodes. So as always, thanks for watching.